You're good.
All right.
Wrestle Matts, we're back again with an 80s pro wrestling mock draft. We're doing 1 through 12. Each one of us got 6 picks in this bad boy. We're going to hit it hard and hit it fast. You're going to be getting these every week, whether you're a fan of the 80s or, maybe Wrestle Matts, I wasn't born until the 2000s. Ruthless aggression, you're getting it all. And even present day as we tick towards SummerSlam, 80s mock draft. This was basically, we were, 3 years old in this bad boy?
Yep, exactly.
How we feeling?
I had to do some research.
80s wrestlers, man. These are your larger-than-life characters.
Yeah.
They kind of, the forecoming of what you're going to get in the 90s. And a lot of people call the 80s your golden era of pro wrestling because you have territories. It's not just the WWE. It's not just WCW. There's AWA, NWA, all these different things. Regardless, with the 101, I'm on the clock. So I got to stick to, some people call them the most underrated. Some people call them the most overrated. But I got a question for you, Matt Kelly. What you gonna do, brother, when Matty takes old Hulkster 101?
I mean, if we're talking about an 80s mock draft, that's where you got to see the difference in these drafts and the nuances, right? If we're talking present day, obviously Hulk Hogan's not necessarily going 101, but 80s, man, larger than life, just like you talked about. Saying your prayers, taking your vitamins, the red and the yellow, the pythons, the stash there. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, everything about Hogan was just the 101 of creative pro wrestler, right? Like he's everything you wanted.
Whether it was Hollywood, he was doing movies. Whether it was commercials, whether it was just wrestling, like I think you can put him up there with Stone Cold for taking wrestling to that next level. And I don't know if we didn't have Hulk Hogan in the 80s, if pro wrestling would be anywhere of what it is now.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way to have a distinction and to recognize you can separate out Hulk's career and his personal life and all these different things, right? And still recognize contribution-wise what Hulk was in the 80s took pro wrestling to a new stratosphere.
And that's key. It's a certain time in wrestling, the 80s. Right. You might think a guy, we just talked about it with our SummerSlam matches. Peak Daniel Bryan, John Cena was 2013.
Right.
Is it peak Daniel Bryan in 2006? Probably not.
Probably not.
But it was peak Hulk Hogan in the 80s. So with the 101, I feel comfortable. Matt Kelly, you're on the clock.
Yeah, I mean, I got to take one of the greatest to ever do it alongside Hulk. I got to take the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, of course. You got the robes, you got this, the wheeling, dealing, you got the styling, profiling. You got Rick going out there and putting on 40, 50, 60-minute classics with other guys that we're going to talk about in this draft. And I mean, the funny part is, Matty, for all the robes and everything and how eccentric Rick is and that, his trunks and once he gets in the ring is pretty basic. You know what I mean? But like, who didn't want to be Ric Flair in the 80s?
Everybody. I mean, then that's the 80s. Like, money was king. Cash was king. You spent money for materialistic. I don't know if Ric Flair ever got out of that. But as from the 80s, dude, the limos, the girls, the four horsemen, the drip, dude, everything about it screamed Ric Flair. If it wasn't Hogan at 101, it's damn near sure Ric Flair at 101.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Gotta give these two their props because I think there's definitely a tier break from Hogan, Flair, and then everybody else.
Everybody else that we talk about. Yeah, I think so.
And now we're going to get to a point where you're looking at 1A, 1B. So with 103, like I said, we give our roses, our flowers to Hogan and Flair. I think that was an easy 101, 102. And now it comes out to, you get to the next two, they kind of fell lockstep as well. But I'm going to go 103. I was a WWE guy. Macho Man was my guy. I think he's still my guy. Hot dogging and grandstanding. Yeah, Kelly, I see you over there. But yeah, dude, everything about Hogan, Miss Elizabeth, the Macho King, he did it. And he was a WWE champion in a time where nobody else got the belt other than Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
I don't think I could name a champion other than from 85 to 88, other than Macho Man. It was all Hogan. So to me, I think Macho Man in WWE was at 1B.
Yeah, few and far between. You talk about Hogan with that run, right? It would have been, if you want to parallel it to today, it would have been like somebody trying to take off the title away from Roman Reigns during that legendary run that he had. I mean, Hulk was just that dominant, and so the fact that you have Macho Man making any sort of
Ooh.
dent in the presence of Hulk Hogan, it's pretty incredible to think about. And Macho Man's right up there in terms of just being iconic with the voice, with the gear, with the move set. And, people wanted to imitate and be Macho Man. He's right up there in these characters.
When it's funny how you said Hulk Hogan runs parallel to Roman Reigns, Macho Man runs parallel to Seth Rollins. It's
Yeah,
two
a little
different
bit, right?
styles, two different work rates. And it's funny how this jumps, 30, 40 years later, you got two of these guys that are literally 1A, 1B in WWE. You look at it, the 80s, so much of it, so much of it runs parallel. Crazy to think, but yeah, Macho Man, dude, I just want to give him all his flowers he can. I think if you can put Macho Man in any territory, in any century, any era, and he translates. He's that good.
Yeah, he works.
104, though.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
104 is kind of in the same boat in terms of you put him anywhere at any time, and I think he kind of works because he is the quote unquote common man. He is the everyman. He is, of course, Dusty Rhodes, one of the greatest to ever do it. And whether it's in the ring, I mean, Maddie, I don't know if you've seen the old tapes of where Dusty Rhodes was out there playing basketball or not, but a man his size should not be able to ball out the way that Dusty Rhodes did. And so he has kind of some crazy athleticism for a man with his stature and his figure, but he has some of the most iconic promos. Everybody does the voice. Everybody knows Dusty and his contributions. It was at the point when we were talking about this and we're going back and forth in these picks, Maddie, where I was like, I kind of want to take somebody else, but if I miss out on Dusty, I'm going to kick myself. So I had to take Dusty Rhodes here.
And dude, I think Dusty has the best promo of all time. Hard Times promo.
Yeah, sure.
To me, it's the 101 of promos. I think the emotion you get out of it, the vibe, the everything. He is the common man for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest thing is how you see Dusty Rhodes in the 80s, which I thought was crazy, is he's in the Florida territory. They're selling out Miami, Tampa, all these big cities. Like Florida's a big time state for pro wrestling.
Yeah.
And he leaves. He goes to NWA. The territory dies. One man kills a territory because he is so over. There was literally nothing left in Florida after Dusty Rhodes left. But we're going to do a Dusty Rhodes podcast one day. But I have one more question for you with Dusty Rhodes. Why didn't it work in WWE?
Oh man, we kind of talked about it a little bit in our podcast this past week on WWE surprise returns or WWE comebacks, however you want to look at it. And it's just one of those things where it should have worked, right? Like it just should have worked. As we were just talking about, you can put them anywhere and it should just work. And it's all about, okay, who's running the show and who's making the decisions and calling the shots. And I don't think this was to any fault of Dusty's, quite frankly, because you see how beloved he still is today. And there's no, like, there has to be a reason he's beloved, right? It wasn't because he wasn't good. It was because he was great. And everybody has all these great memories. So personally, to me, I don't have a firm answer because obviously I'm not in the building, wasn't there, but I can't imagine it's on Dusty. If
he had the gimmick. He had everything you need. There was nothing you had to change about Dusty Rhodes.
Correct.
When you brought him to WWE, and to put polka dots on a guy who we know is the common man, like there's no reason why this guy should not have been, like you said, you can put him anywhere, do anything with him.
Yeah.
And you choose to embarrass him like Vince McMahon. Like, I don't know if that's a McMahonism. if there ever has been one, where you
I
just
think
kind
so.
of kill a guy before he's even like, come on, man. But yeah,
Yeah.
Dusty up there. I think he's one of the GOATs. 105. I'm bringing it with another GOAT, one of the best talkers in pro wrestling, and one of the biggest figures in the mid 80s, early 80s. We're talking Piper's Pit, WrestleMania 1, WrestleMania 2. This guy was probably one of your most premier heels in pro wrestling in the 80s because of how good he was on the mic, Roddy Piper.
Yeah, I mean, if Dusty is the 101 of talkers, Roddy is 102, 101A, 101B. I mean, he's right there, man. It's a different style, and obviously Dusty a little bit more beloved as the common man. Roddy Piper, as you talked about, one of the greatest heel talkers of our time, and he could take an ass kicking too. That's the other thing about Piper is like he didn't have to win every match or anything like that. Go in there, do his thing, talk, get his ass kicked. But you love to see Piper, man. He's got the comes out there in the kilt, comes out to the bagpipes. I mean, Roddy's just a different cat, man.
Yeah, and it's crazy to see we're doing this 80s. I think this is like the first era that really doesn't get the proper due because WWE really isn't a thing till 85, 86. Like the WWE universe, what it is, doesn't really form till WrestleMania. So a lot
Mm-hmm.
of these guys like Dusty Rhodes, like Macho Man, like Piper, we're not getting to see a lot of their prime because it is late 70s, early 80s. So we only get a couple years of just how great some of these guys are.
Yeah, I mean, and that's unfortunate, and it just shows you uh how stark the contrast is, right? And just WWE alone, and you think about like it's as global can be today, with anybody being able to have an internet connection, Netflix, you can watch WWE or whatever other service they may be on. And here to your point, in territories, and it takes a bit into the 80s to take off, and people are still like getting cable and all the things, and so
Yeah.
it's nice actually now, right, to be able to have something like the catalog that you have with WWE, so you can go back and appreciate guys like Dusty, like Roddy.
Absolutely. We're up to 106, Matt, and you're on the clock.
Yeah, I finally had to take a tag team here. We've been talking about single stars up until this point, but I don't know if there's a more maybe intense tag team, a more memorable tag team in terms of look than the Road Warriors. You see them here, Hawk and Animal. I mean, just as memorable as can be. The shoulder pads, the spikes, the face paint. These dudes jacked to the absolute gills coming out there in a mohawk. I mean, dude, intimidating as all get out as a duo.
Dude, and four, you want your wrestler to be larger than life. We talked about Ric Flair styling, profiling to the other end of the spectrum. Just the biggest badass you could have. Spiked shoulder pads, like I think that's got to be one of the 101 and gimmicks. Like fuck, and then face
Yeah.
paint on top mohawks. Like this is and you're a beast, dude. Like this is the total package for a tag team. And I think this uh, might be wrong here, but I think the late 80s, early 90s was the golden era of tag team wrestling. So putting the Road Warriors at the 101 in this makes perfect sense. And at 106, I feel like you're robbing them.
Well, I mean, if we talk about pro wrestling, one of the most important parts being how you introduce yourself to an audience when they first lay eyes on you and making an entrance. How many more ways do you want these guys to stand out, man, than what we just said? I mean,
Yeah.
you're just glued to them from the second they walk out the curtain. But then when you move to the ring, man, and you talk about tag team wrestling the way that you just did, I mean, these guys were just mind meld, right? In sync from the
Yeah.
time that they got in the ring, just as smooth, but also as powerful and as dominating as you can ask for with a tag team.
Yeah, and that's what you want in a tag team. You need dominance. You need to put yourself over. And I think these guys, no matter what territory they were in, especially in the 80s, they brought it. So with 107, same thing. I needed to get me a tag team. One of the more underrated tag teams. Obviously, when I say great tag teams, I'm not doing any disservice to the Dudleys, to Edge and Christian. It's just a different era. The Boys aren't wrestling in the 80s, but the Hart Foundation are. And before you get Bret Hart really breaking into his own in the 90s, you have him as a well-oiled machine, part of the Hart Foundation. Two hearts beating at one. Tell him, Anvil.
Man, Anvil might be one of the most underappreciated talkers. I really think when you go back and you check out his promos, man, he's entertaining. He is as entertaining as anybody you'd ever give a microphone to. He's absolutely fantastic. Then you got kind of the not that Bret couldn't cut a promo, but Bret, I think, is probably more known for his in-ring abilities and his in-ring work and his storytelling there. So you put these guys together. I mean, dude, it's yeah, I can't disagree with this pick at all.
Yeah, just a great tag team, and that's we keep going back to it, but just that's what we need in pro wrestling is more really, really good tag teams. It's 108, and you're on the clock.
By the way, both of those guys making pink work as their gear. That's. I mean, come on, dude. How cool do they still look?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So I had to go with a little bit of a different direction here, and throughout a lot of these picks, we have been talking about guys who are good on the mic. And Jake the Snake Roberts is as good on the mic as probably anybody else in the 80s, but in a completely different manner. And, Jake tells the story that at some point, I think he got like his windpipe or something crushed, and it gives him this raspy voice that we know that Jake has to this day, but it also causes him to speak softly. And because he has this soft, raspy tone, you have to listen. It's so intense in like the most weird, cringy way, but like you're so drawn in, man. Jake is incredible on the mic, but also solid in the ring as well.
And he's got a fucking python and
by the way, he's got a snake.
God, like talk about fear running down my body. If I was a pro wrestler, and he's got a bag, like you already know, Jake Roberts looks like a slimy motherfucker already. Then you add a snake in a bag. Like I'm staying away. God, I want nothing to do with Jake. But the perfect heel for the 80s, for the early 90s. Like this guy, underrated. Another guy that should have gotten there. Just it's almost like now there's so much talent. That's how the 80s were. There were so many good wrestlers that don't even make this list that literally you can interchange with. You can interchange a Rick Rude with one of these guys. Like there's so many just great personalities, brought their own kind of package. But Jake Roberts with a snake, with a mustache, and with the best promos at some point, like, dude, Jake Roberts at 108 is another one. You stole him.
I'm going to need to know how he traveled with the snake.
You haven't heard the stories about that, have you?
No.
So
that's what I'm saying.
While we're here, let's go to it. So he had to take the snake everywhere with him, and then he'd have to put it in the shower. So he would have to take it out of the bag, put it in the shower, travel with it.
But is it just in the car with him?
Yeah, and it can't get cold.
Oh God!
Or it'll die. Yeah. No. So he goes into the story one time where the snake gets frozen.
Oh no!
Because he leaves it in the car because they're partying. This is the 80s, right?
Oh no!
So yeah, so he has to bring the snake to wrestling, and he's like, "Oh, it's kind of frozen, but I think it's still alive. I'll just bring it out there. Nothing will happen." Brings it out to the wrestling ring, takes it out of the bag, and it falls apart in the ring.
Oh God!
Everybody freaks the fuck out because the snake's dead. Like it's decomposing, and he doesn't know because it was cold. So and it's a python. So you think it's still alive. Yeah, that's one of the crazier stories of Jake Roberts that I've heard is the decomposing snake he brings to the ring, not knowing. And
yeah, all right. Jake Roberts versus PETA coming to a ring.
Oh, yeah. 87, baby. It was a wild year, daddy. 109, another wild character.
I mean,
not
of course,
saying it ages well, but for the 80s, for the vibe, for everything, I don't know if you can get the 80s. I think he sums up the 80s. Intense. He's got the body. He's got the entrance. He was everything. He was the total package of the 80s. You didn't need a wrestling match. You just need somebody to come out there and dominate. And to get the strap from Hulk Hogan to pin Hogan clean, this to me, when I'm thinking of as a kid of pro wrestlers, Warrior was right up there with Hogan in that same area as him and the
Mm-hmm.
Macho Man to me mentally. I didn't know any of the stuff once you become a wrestling fan of bell to bell. But as a 80s wrestler, I don't think it's hard to complain about the Ultimate Warrior being on this list.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the funny part, right? And the part of our podcast is, breaking down what goes right and what goes wrong and what looks good in the ring and what doesn't. And certainly as a kid, we weren't thinking about any of that. We just like these larger than life characters that you see here, like Ultimate Warrior, and that's all we really cared about. And I just remember him being as wire to wire as you can be. Just, I mean, from the time he hits the entrance ramp and he's running out there, shaking the ropes, the face paint, probably the most intense superstar that has ever graced wrestling. Period. Maybe it's the Ultimate Warrior, and I mean, dude, I think you said it maybe in your first statement there. He is the '80s in terms of wrestling.
Yeah.
Like maybe he doesn't work across generations the way that Dusty does necessarily, or somebody like that. But Warrior for
Right.
the '80s, I mean, dude, it's as classic gets.
Right place at the right time. Like there's nowhere
Kind of
else you put
Goldberg,
him in
right?
time. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Kind
100%.
of
Like another
Goldberg,
one.
just like
Yeah.
right place, right time. Yeah.
He'll be on the draft coming up. But yeah, let's go to the 10th spot here. This is kind of cool. A trio, something you don't see every day in pro wrestling, other than the New Day. I can't really remember one, but at 110 here, you took Duke.
Yeah, had to go do. I mean, it was just at this point we're at the 10th pick, and I didn't want to leave them out, and I'm just kind of going favorites and people that I really enjoy from this time, and of course, let's get 3 fanny packs here going, Maddie, for the Freebirds.
Ooh,
I mean,
I love it.
it's really like kind of the introduction almost to a stable, right? In pro wrestling, in this 3-man trio, as you mentioned, we don't really get it a lot. And I think this is where pro wrestling, I wanted to bring this up too. You got these guys as a trio. I think pro wrestling kind of missed a beat here in terms of we're just now seeing it in AEW with the trios championships, these 3-man team championships. That could have been a cool thing there to start with the Freebirds. But it is kind of that first iteration that you get where, you mentioned the New Day, right? They're the tag team champions. Yeah. Well, are you getting Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, or are you getting Xavier Woods and Big E, wrestling? And that's kind of the vibes that you had here with the Freebirds. And then you see, I mean, good Lord, you see Michael P.S.H. there with the look on his face and the hair. I mean, these dudes are just wild and unexpected, and just it's a cool, different vibe here to pro wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, this is drug, sex, and rock and roll. This is everything you wanted from a team. And big ass Terry Gordy, like one of the more underrated workers. God, if you go see his matches in Japan in the 90s, dude, him, Steve Williams, these guys that never graced really our WWE television.
Yeah.
Just how fucking good some of these big men were that we kind of, maybe their styles didn't fit the WWE. We talk about it. What do kids want is not what adults want. There's always, who are you selling an audience to? And I think that's kind of where these guys missed the boat a little bit. But for the 80s, dude, they should have been WWE draws a lot longer than they were. And maybe that was part of the drug, sex, and rock and roll they just couldn't get out of.
Well, for sure, but it's a good kind of talking point too. And you go back and you talk about Gordy and his matches in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and it's kind of why I'm glad that WWE recognizes in their Hall of Fame people doing great work in other promotions. We've seen it with Sting or Goldberg or, all these different people have had runs in WCW primarily, but are in the WWE Hall of Fame. Freebirds, they're in, right?
Yeah, they got in, for sure. The year that went to Dallas, I think.
Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure they're in, but it's stuff like that where it's like, okay, go back and look, and you can appreciate and you can see maybe they didn't get to the scale that you were talking about there on WWE television, but contributions are still there running through wrestling today.
When in the 80s, it wasn't just the WWE. That's what's fun about this.
Oh,
People
sure. Yeah,
that know
absolutely.
Dusty Rhodes, that know Ric Flair, that know the Road Warriors.
Right. NWA and all these other.
WWE is just
Yeah.
a minute. Like
Yep.
80s were everybody was wrestling different territories. So your eyes, maybe you weren't on the WWE scale, but you were
Right.
still a household name.
Sure.
So just fun to see. I love the Freebirds. It's just fun, man. I'm glad I got that like little window to party with Michael Hayes when I did. 111 here. This one was, I had about 5 guys listed. I had had a bunch of names, and it was more the gimmick. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think the character was that good. And I think the way they WWE booked him in the late 80s was perfect. Whether, we talk about a new character debuting, the vignettes were perfect. The way he bought the WWE Championship from Andre the Giant, and every little detail that they did with this character. Late 80s, Ted DiBiase has to be on this list.
Has to be on the list. He's as memorable of a face and a figure as I can remember in my childhood. I remember having wrestling action figures of Ted DiBiase. I mean, I thought he was cool as a kid, man. I mean, dude, breaking out all the money, the laugh, maybe the most iconic laugh, across wrestling history. Every time you see him on screen. I mean, and the thing is too with Ted DiBiase is that his contributions are still going as well to this day with WWE. So iconic character. You see the tuxedo there, the gold. I mean, he's just all flash all the time.
What's better to hate than some rich, arrogant snob that,
exactly.
Polar extremes from Dusty Rhodes, and that's what WWE kills it at, is character development. And I think this one, there's very few characters I think they've hit more on than Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. 112, though, a guy that I definitely think is underrated as a wrestler, and you picked him.
Yeah, had to go Ricky Steamboat. And, if I go all the way back to my first pick and Ric Flair, you almost can't mention Ric Flair without mentioning Steamboat there. Kind of in the boat of, does he have the most memorable promos ever? Probably not. But he has some of the most incredible in-ring work that you'll ever go see. And so he's another character that probably could have crossed more eras. Maybe if he's in today's era necessarily, maybe he needs a talker, but he's also kind of like a Shinsuke Nakamura, and he doesn't have to say a whole lot. You know what I mean? He just goes out there, does his thing, and you can appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah, Matt. I mean, anybody who can put on a clinic with the Macho Man, Ric Flair. We're talking about 30-plus minute matches, and they go down in the history books as some of the greatest matches of all time. Involve Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, and that doesn't even include his gimmick, the breathing fire, the karate, so many big parts of, our childhood. Ricky Steamboat was right there with the rest of them. I think he should have had a little bit longer run. I just think sometimes when you're that deep in talent, that's not in the cards. But Steamboat, easy 112.
Yeah, sure.
Guys,
I mean, when you
saw
get to
our
this
80s
point,
picks. Sorry, I must
No,
be
you're
delayed.
good.
My bad.
No, you're good. Go for it.
I was just wrapping it up, but you say anything you want about him real quick. That's fine.
Not worth it. Go ahead.
Okay. You saw our 80s mock draft. We're going to be going 90s. You'll see some crossover here. Maybe you might see a Hollywood Hogan. Maybe you see a Bret Hart on top. You're going to see a lot more coming your way from Wrestle Matts. If mock drafts are your jam, stay with us and jive it out the rest of the month, where you're going to be getting 80s, 90s, 2000s, and present-day mock drafts at Wrestle.